He wasn't supposed to be home that early, but when he opened the gates of his family's mansion that afternoon, what he saw in the courtyard would change his life and his family's legacy forever. The betrayal, the rage, and the unthinkable decision all unfolded in a single moment. This is the case of a boy who killed his mother, and the secret that shook an entire city.
Rachel and Edward Monroe were known in their city as the perfect wealthy couple. Edward, a respected bank manager with a reputation for honesty. Their mansion in the suburbs of Boston, Massachusetts, stood like a symbol of power and class. Their only son, Michael Monroe, a 15-year-old 10th grade student at the city's most expensive private school, was the pride of his father, polite, quiet, and remarkably intelligent. But behind the tall gates of their mansion, life wasn't what it seemed. Michael often overheard his mother's late-night conversations. Whispered threats. Hidden phone calls. Promises to a stranger. He knew his father remained silent, perhaps for his son's sake, but the silence was heavy, crushing. One night, Michael wrote in his notebook, "I don't know who she really is anymore. She says if Dad speaks, she'll destroy us. But I can't watch him suffer in silence. One day, I'll do something about it." The mother, Elena Monroe, was strikingly beautiful, only 28, with long black hair and eyes that could disarm anyone. But she carried secrets. For months, she had been entertaining a younger man inside the very walls of her home, while her husband worked tirelessly at the bank. To the neighbors, Elena was the elegant lady of the house. To Michael, she was a storm ready to break his father. Day after day, Michael's anger grew. He confided in no one, until one afternoon, unable to bear it, he broke. On a Friday in spring, Michael left school early, excusing himself by telling his teacher his mother was unwell. But he didn't go home alone. He took with him 3 of his closest friends. Together, they approached the gates of the Monroe mansion. What awaited them inside would ignite a chain of events no one could ever forget. Friday afternoon. Michael Monroe, just 15 years old, walked through the gates of his family's mansion with 3 of his closest friends. What began as a teenage plan to expose the truth ended as one of the darkest chapters in Boston's history. Michael led his friends quietly inside. They expected yelling, perhaps an argument, but what they saw instead, in the wide courtyard of the Monroe estate, froze them all. His mother, Elena, was not alone. By her side was a young man, no older than 22, a foreigner with striking features, someone Michael had never seen before but had overheard about in whispers. They were together, careless, as if the mansion and its secrets belonged only to them. Studio microphone emoji, narration. At that moment, the rage inside Michael, years of humiliation, silence, and betrayal, erupted. The boy who once hid behind notebooks and quiet tears became something else entirely. Michael's friends would later testify that they tried to stop him, but his fury was unstoppable. Words turned into shouts, shouts into violence. The confrontation escalated quickly. In a storm of anger and desperation, both Elena and her companion were struck down. The courtyard, once a symbol of elegance, became a crime scene drenched in silence. Michael stood trembling, his chest heaving. His friends looked at him in shock. They had never seen him like this, not the quiet classmate, but a boy who had just crossed the point of no return. What Michael did next was perhaps the most shocking of all. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He told his friends exactly what to do. Michael gathered his friends outside the mansion gates. His plan was precise: they would testify against him if necessary, but they would not be implicated. He would take full responsibility. He then called the police himself. When officers arrived, Michael raised his hands and spoke calmly. "I killed my mother. And I killed the man she brought into our home. I couldn't watch her destroy my father anymore." His words stunned even the most experienced detectives. In the history of American crime, many killers deny their actions. But Michael Monroe, a teenager, admitted his guilt immediately. He demanded punishment, but only for himself. After his arrest, Michael Monroe, just 15 years old, was taken into custody. The case instantly became national news. How could a boy from one of Boston's most respected families commit such an unthinkable crime, killing his own mother? The courtroom was packed when the trial began. Journalists, TV crews, and legal experts from across the country followed every detail. The prosecution painted Michael as a dangerous young killer. They replayed his confession, word for word. "Greater than I killed my mother. And I killed the man she brought into our home." But the defense argued something different. Michael was a victim of betrayal, threats, and emotional blackmail, driven by desperation to protect his father's honor. At the center of it all stood Edward Monroe, a quiet, grieving husband who had lost his wife, and now risked losing his only son. For weeks, Edward sat silently in the courtroom, listening as lawyers argued, witnesses testified, and his son sat with bowed head. Then came the day when the judge called him forward. Edward stood before the court. His voice was steady, but his eyes carried the weight of years of pain. He said, "Greater than your honor. My wife betrayed our family. But my son? He did what I could not. He protected my honor, and he acted in anger. I do not condone murder, but I cannot condemn my own child. I forgive him." Gasps filled the courtroom. Reporters rushed to scribble every word. And with that, the trial took a historic turn. The presiding judge, one of America's most respected legal minds, listened carefully. After hours of deliberation, the verdict came. Michael Monroe was found guilty, but with the mitigating circumstance of family betrayal and mental distress. His sentence was reduced, and soon after, with his father's official forgiveness, Michael walked free. The boy who killed his mother did not spend his life behind bars. Instead, he returned home, to a new beginning. Months later, Edward Monroe remarried. His new wife, a Canadian woman named Isabella Hart, was graceful, compassionate, and deeply committed to rebuilding the broken family. She treated Michael like her own son. The mansion that once echoed with secrets and betrayal now filled with laughter and second chances. This case left America divided. Was Michael Monroe a murderer? Or a boy pushed too far? Was this justice, or mercy? To this day, the story of the boy who killed his mother remains one of the most haunting tales of betrayal, revenge, and forgiveness in modern true crime history. This video is a fictionalized documentary script inspired by true crime storytelling formats. While it draws on the style of real investigations and courtroom cases, all characters, names, and events presented here are purely fictional. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events is purely coincidental. The purpose of this video is entertainment only. We do not intend to target, offend, or defame any individual, community, or institution.